This is the Seller Process Podcast, where we talk about the best systems, processes, and SOPs for your Amazon business so that you can regain control of your time, build up your team, and scale your e-com empire.
Hello, entrepreneurs. If you have maxed out the use of the traditional promotion channels like PPC, and you're looking to give your brand more exposure, get your products in the hands of more people, and gain more trust in the eyes of your customers, then this episode is for you. Our guest today will share with us the process to get your products into an Amazon live video to give your brand more visibility and boost your sales. I'm joined today by Gracey Ryback, an Amazon influencer and content creator who specializes in bringing the best deals and Amazon finds to her community of over 1 million followers across TikTok and 6+ more additional platforms. In her first year, she has driven over 7 figures of revenue and helped many brands selling on Amazon boost sales, increase long-term keyword ranking, drive brand awareness, and go viral. She will show us today how implementing influencer marketing into your brand strategy will skyrocket your sales like you never imagined. Hey, Gracey, excited to have you here. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. So to start, I want to give a message to all the guys that are listening to this podcast today. So guys, if you're listening to the audio version, for this time only, go check the YouTube video because Gracey has a beautiful smile. So you will enjoy that better.
That's so sweet. Thank you. Yes, go check out the YouTube.
Yes. So back to business now.
Yes.
Gracey is a very popular and active influencer on Amazon Live. And for those who don't know about Amazon Live, I suggest you guys to go check out amazon.com/live, and you will find this platform that Amazon created, which is full of influencers like Gracey, who are recording themselves in live streamings, promoting products of famous brands and private label brands like the one we're running, right? So it's a very, very interesting platform to boost, to get more brand awareness and get more credibility and increase sales. So Gracey, my first question for you would be to walk us through the process of how it looks like when you work with Amazon sellers. So, because I would like to get in the influencers' perspective and to be in your shoes, so that we can understand better your point of view, and we can potentially communicate better with influencers in Amazon Live.
Yeah, so I think this is a really amazing question because you're kind of like trying to understand the other side of things and trying to bridge the connection, which is what I'm all about. So I think for the influencer side of things, the main thing that I'm looking for when I'm working with sellers is just that it's a good fit with my brand and my audience. So sometimes that looks like, being on niche with like a certain influencer. Like if you're a fitness brand looking for a fitness influencer instead of like a very generic like family influencer, for example. Just making sure that your product would be, something that makes sense for that influencer to be talking about or sharing with their followers in a natural and organic way that makes sense. So that's like the first step, I think, when like looking for a good partnership, that it just makes sense. Sometimes I'm approached with like certain products and it breaks my heart, but I do have to say, like, I just don't think this is a great fit for whatever reason. And like that happens sometimes. And then after, you decide there's a good fit with a seller and an influencer, then you can start talking about the nitty-gritty details of everything. Like you can talk about deliverables, which basically in a fancy term means like the services that you're interested in. Like it could be a TikTok video, an Amazon live stream, an Instagram in-feed post, whatever it may be, deliverables. And then you can talk about the other details like And this is kind of getting into the nitty gritty, like details of it, but then exclusivity, copyright usage, and stuff like that. So whatever, and then payment, of course, but like, that's kind of like the different things to think about when working with an influencer and like vice versa.
Okay, great. So I think we can go deeper into each of these. Let's start from the very beginning,
Sure.
like how people are going to find influencers on Amazon. Like how do they find you, and how do you suggest them to go about finding the influencer that is the right fit for their business?
So there are like kind of third-party sites or agencies that exist and kind of just like profit off like matching brands with influencers. And that's a good option if you want to like outsource that process. But I think there's a really simple and like easy way to just look for influencers yourself and vet them yourself and just make it a direct connection instead of like going through someone else. So I always suggest going to social media like TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever platform you're interested in, Amazon Live, whatever. And well, you can't do this with Amazon Live, but for social media, you can use hashtags. There are a couple really popular hashtags that influencers who do Amazon content use. It could be hashtag Amazon finds, Amazon must-haves, Amazon haul, founded on Amazon, Amazon fashion, Amazon pets, Amazon beauty. Like there's so many different ones. And then you can just like kind of niche down from there. You can start at Amazon finds. And then if you have a beauty brand, you could do like Amazon makeup, Amazon beauty, Amazon like makeup, whatever. Like you can just kind of niche your hashtags down. And when you use these hashtags, you'll see a plethora of different kinds of influencers, and you can kind of vet their content from there and like see which ones you want to work with. So that's like the best way to do it in my book. And Amazon Live, while you can't use hashtags, you can just go on the live page, like you mentioned, and they have like categories, like all listed out. So you can kind of just like go there and see all the different Amazon Live influencers.
Yeah, exactly. That's very interesting. There are lots of methods actually to find people. You obviously mentioned, the main ones, and going on Amazon Live, the actual website. I think that there is a really anyone can find plenty of influencers there. And me and my team, we have been working on finding all the most creative ways to find these people. So I may have a few more, which I can send you guys if you would like to reach out. Send me an email at gm@thesellerprocess.com, and I will send you back our SOP on how we find influencers. But that's essentially the one that Gracey mentioned. These are the main one that we also use. Cool. All right, so let's then go to the next step. So after we identified some of the influencers that are, we think it's a good fit for our brand, how do we initiate the conversation? That's, a tricky part, because you guys are very busy. So sometimes don't answer. This is a pain that we're facing right now. So what is the best practices to initiate a conversation and, in order to start collaboration?
I've heard that a lot before, that like I reached out to like so many influencers and I never got a reply. I've heard that before. So I always say like an email is probably the best way to go, because it's the most professional way to just like start a conversation. But if you can't find an email, which is usually located in like the bio section of an influencer's account, then a DM is a great place to start. And then I always say, like, if you're not getting responses, there could probably be something to be improved with your outreach. A lot of times people just say like, hey, that's it.
That's
like,
it. Okay.
Hey. And then a lot of like, I wouldn't be surprised if like, I don't know, people didn't necessarily respond to that because they're like, they just don't have the time to be like, hi, like, what's up? And so I think the best rule of thumb is to introduce yourself, refer to their name, and say like, hey, like, I like your content, love the stuff you post. Make sure it doesn't sound like a mass outreach template. Like, make sure it's like, a little bit personalized, because you can see through it. And basically just, lay out as much information as you can so they can make like a decision right then and there after their first message, whether or not they're interested in working together. So I would say like, say their name, introduce yourself, like, who are you? Are you the brand manager? Are you the social media manager, brand owner, whatever? And say like, hey, love your content. Here's my product. Here's a way that you can look at it and check it out. And I would love to, work with you for TikTok, for Amazon, for whatever deliverables. And then say like, I either have a budget for this, or this is a gifted collaboration, or I'd love to just learn more about like what your rates are and see if there can be like a good fit, a partnership or collaboration between us, whatever. So I think that would just be it. And then after the person gets that message, they can be like yes or no, because they have everything laid out and they don't have to go back and forth and ask a million questions on like what this entails.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So one thing that I'm now interested that you already introduced, you said paid collaboration or gifting collaboration. So let's talk about that. What are all the types of cooperation that we can initiate with influencers, and what are the ones that have been working the best for you?
Yeah, so this kind of like heavily depends on like the size of the influencer and like where they're at in their content creation journey. So like usually the newer or the smaller micro influencers, they are, and I'm never speaking on behalf of everyone, this is like just generalized, but like usually they're more interested in like a gifted collaboration or maybe like a commission based collaboration, because something that I've learned is that this is such a mutually beneficial partnership. Like brands need influencers, influencers need brands to create content with and for. So a lot of times when they're getting started, they're like, I just want to create content that's like brand focused or product focused. I'm willing to do it for a gifted or even like a commission share. So, that out of pocket for the brand is like very small budget, because it's just a product and or like a small percentage of commission, which is very budget friendly for the brands who don't have a huge influencer marketing budget. And then once you kind of start getting into working with more established influencers, some of them have a flat fee setup. So like maybe they'll ask for a flat fee in addition to commission share, or just a flat fee, no commission share. And usually when you're working with an influencer, gifting them the product or like letting them have a unit of product is like a given usually, because they need the product to create the content with. So usually that's, part of it. So those are usually the different kinds of collaborations. And sometimes a mix, sometimes one of those.
Okay, I see. What have you seen it's has been working the best for you? Is it because I think it's also a matter of like incentives, right?
Yes,
So I'm interested to know, like, this is something I'm working on right now, like trying to find the right mix of incentives so that these people we're reaching out to, they're actually motivated to work with us.
Right.
So do you have any like suggestions about that?
So I think if you're looking for like an incentive for the influencer to be promoting a product, I think commission based, in addition to flat fee or not, like I think that's a really great way to have the influencer want to make as many sales as possible. And the commission could look anywhere from like 4% upwards of 10%. That can be decided between you too, but like I think it's a great way for them to try to make as many sales as possible, because they would get paid for that. So I think commission based is a great way to go, and there's a couple of different ways to track that. So something that I've realized and something I'm always saying is like affiliate links aren't always accurate at reporting. So a really great way to like have better reporting is to use a promo code or like a social promo code. And it doesn't have to be like, a huge discount. It could be 10, 20% off, but you can customize it to the influencer or that campaign and like see how many uses came from that. And that's usually been a lot more accurate in my experience.
Okay. That's great. So that's good to know. So basically we could create a promo code that it's specific, for each influencer so that we can track back the sales, and then how the exchange of commission will be. Then just it's going to be like a private exchange, right? So we sign a contract of some sort, and then we will show you, for example, what sales we've got from that promo code, and then privately send a transfer, right? So it's not going to be something automatic like Amazon affiliates, for example.
Right. So there would be, a necessary level of trust there, that the influencer is trusting the brand of like, okay, like I'm trusting that this information is accurate, because the influencer would have really no way of knowing, tracking aside from their Amazon backend.
Yeah.
So yes,
True.
but usually, brands sometimes wait for the return window to close before paying out the commission-based payments. So that's another thing to keep in mind timeline wise.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. And like in terms of payments, actually, I want to step back to what we mentioned just now, building trust. We could do that through an agreement, right? So do you always sign agreements with brands, or sometimes it's more casual?
So I've had like both ways. Like sometimes, in my experience, usually brands introduce a contract when there's like a certain threshold of payment. Like when it's like over this much payment, they will have a contract. And the contract, I've seen a simple 1-pager. I've also seen a complicated 20-pager. It's like totally depends. But I think there's nothing wrong with having like a 1-page simple contract just to lay out and make sure both parties are on the same page, and also give a little bit of insurance as to like, if one party doesn't follow through, you can be like, hey, like we both signed and we agreed on that. It's like a little bit more insurance than just like a casual, like verbal, like, okay, I agree, whatever. So I've also heard from some brands that they're like, okay, like I've had influencers ghost, or like they don't follow through, or they, all these things. And my answer to that is like always like, there's nothing wrong with like a very simple 1-pager, just to make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay, yeah, that's great. That's great, and that's where actually we can introduce the complementary resource that we are providing in this episode. So guys, remember, every episode of the seller process, you will find a download button in the show notes. In this time, Gracey is sharing with us the contract that she uses. It's a very simple 1-page contract that you can download and personalize with your brand name and brand logo and so on. And that's what you could use initially to have an agreement with the influencer you're going to work with. So go check it out in our website, thesellerprocess.com. Find this episode and you will be able to download it in the show notes, or you will find the links in our social media or YouTube, in the YouTube description of this video. Okay, cool. So now we've got a collaboration set up. We've built more trust with these influencers through this agreement. Let's talk about payments. Like how much should we expect to pay for a collaboration in the case of a payment? Because we just mentioned there could be like a commission based only, or just gifting only. And what results can we expect, from working with influencers?
Yeah, so this is always a hard question, because it's almost like asking someone like, how much is a car? It's like, well, it depends. So
Yes.
a big factor that, it would depend on would be probably the size and experience of the influencer. And there could be, amazing micro influencers who do not charge a lot at all and bring in amazing results. There could also be super large mega influencers that have a huge following who don't bring in much, it totally depends. So I always say, like, probably the smaller the influencer, of course, they're going to be probably newer to content creation or have a smaller audience, but like never discredit micro influencers, because they're usually the ones with like really good engagement and like more trust within their community. So like they're great. I would say, if just to like generalize, I would say maybe if you're looking at a flat fee for like micro influencers, you could be looking at a couple $100. And then if you're working with like larger scale influencers, it could go into maybe a couple thousand. It depends on the influencer. And a lot of times, and I've mentioned this before, it's like if a brand, comes to me and they're like, hey, I have a product and it's a great fit with my audience and they're providing a great discount, like sometimes it's like, I just want to share this with my audience because I think it's a great fit. And it totally depends. And especially if you kind of develop a long-term relationship with an influencer and you kind of work with them on an ongoing basis, that could, lessen that flat fee for you over time. Or you could kind of agree to like, okay, maybe like 4 videos per month at a lower rate, and it adds up to, a certain amount. So it kind of depends, and you can negotiate, with every influencer and see what you guys can agree on. But like, that's kind of the general way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's something that seems also basic sometimes, but it people tend to forget, like we're talking with people, like influencers are people. So you can discuss with them and negotiate with them and see, trying to build a long-term relationship. It may, of course, drive to have to create better deals for the long term. If you're buying obviously like 4 appearances in an Amazon live streaming, then it might cost less. So
yes.
Guys, always remember to strive to create long-term relationships with these people, because it's going to be beneficial for both of you. Yes. But I'm wondering, like, what kind of results people do typically see whenever they get their products into a live streaming. What kind of results? Like obviously there might be a bump in sales. Like, tell us a little bit how what can they expect as a result of working with an influencer like you, for example.
Yeah, so I would say this again kind of comes down to like what your definition of success is, or like what is the goal of the campaign. So like there could be a product that's like, doing great sales, but maybe their keyword ranking isn't great, or maybe they're not getting a lot of traffic to their listing, whatever. And in that case, the goal would be like keyword ranking and increasing that. Or it could be like, I don't care much about that. I just want to like liquidate, or like, I just want to, sell a lot of product for whatever. So it kind of, you should always look at like the goal of like what you're trying to accomplish before even looking for an influencer, because that would affect the kind of influencers you work with. Results wise, I think the example you told me about was like really interesting, that you tried Amazon Live and like one influencer had really good results and like one was like kind of like, yeah. So it's kind of like that sometimes. The first time you work with an influencer, you might not get the results you want, or it could be, it could blow it out of the water and you're like, okay, this is amazing. And then maybe you replicate and it's not as great the second. It takes some perfecting, and it takes, looking at like what you did and then like kind of switching it up and kind of improving it over time. So I would say, depending on the campaign, depending on the influencer, you could get that like amazing spike in sales and get kind of like that halo effect for the next few days or even week or two. And then you could have like a long-term increase in your keyword ranking and be like closer to page 1. That could be amazing results from a campaign, and that could be the definition of success. But it depends what you're looking for. It depends on so many factors. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I'd like to share quickly, that experience I had, so people get in the context, what you also mentioned. So basically, I worked with 2 influencers on Amazon Live. One product, basically tripled their sales, the normal sales. So this product was doing about like 10-15 units a day, and during the day of the Amazon live streaming, it sold over 40 units that day. And then for a couple of days after, it's kind of stayed up to around 35-30 and went down a little bit, but it kind of remained higher than it used to be, because that bump in sale basically increased organic ranking. Therefore, I started getting, more organic sales as a result. So that's really the ideal case, right? But on the other hand, another influencer I've tried working with, it basically generated just maybe 20-30% increase the same day, and then it went back to normal the days after. So it's always a matter of what kind of products even you're promoting, because if it's not optimized, if the conversion rate of the product is low, putting it in front of more people is not gonna help. It's just gonna give you the same results, but in a larger scale. Okay, so if a product converts very well, it will convert well if you show it to more people on Amazon Live, or if you put more PPC on it, right? So you direct more eyes in whatever method that product is going to convert better. So it's also a matter of choosing the right product and choosing the right influencer. On this, I'd love to hear from you if you have any tips on how we can identify who could be an influencer that can drive better sales for us. I know it might be a tricky question, but I had two very different experiences. So is there something I could have done before, like checking maybe their videos, how they work, what they do, maybe their influence, their other social media pages? Is there something I could have done in advance in order to choose the influencer better before, in order to to get better results?
Yeah. So I think like on one thought I had is that like the influencer that you did see success with, that's an amazing example of somebody you should, keep working with. Like maybe not like strictly with them forever, but like keep them, like in communication, keep developing that relationship and like work with them again. There's nothing harmful about, like working with the same influencer again and again, as long as like that makes sense for both parties. So like to answer your question, like, is there a way to vet influencers to kind of like see what to expect? I think it's totally good to ask for previous campaign results. Like you can ask and say, have you ever worked with let's say candle brand, for example, have you ever worked with a candle brand before? If so, do you have, analytics from that? Do you have results from that? Do you know how much revenue you drove for them? And that's an amazing way to know, like, first, do they have experience with this niche of product? Is it something they're familiar with? Is it something that makes sense with their audience? And two, you can literally see, previous results from like the last time they talked about a similar product. And, sometimes they might not have exact candle, results, but like it could be home decor, whatever. You can get similar, data from this. And usually influencers, I mean, I don't see why they, wouldn't be comfortable to share, at least some of how it went. I think that's a really good way. Another thing that you mentioned is like looking at their engagement. You can look at their previous content. You can see how many comments, how many likes they got, and see how their audience is engaging with their content, and see like, how high the engagement is. The higher the engagement, the better. It's not about follower count, nor is it about likes these days anymore, because people can buy those. It's crazy. So like it's engagement is really like what you're looking for.
True. Okay, great. Makes sense. Something I'm interested to ask you also is that there's another kind of benefit of working with influencers on Amazon Live, because the live streaming session itself, obviously it's what also drive sales, but on the other hand, there is also the influencer storefront, right? So there is a page basically with shoppable items, that are linked to different ASINs. So I'm very curious to know, because our product is in a few of those storefronts for several influencers, but I cannot really track how many sales we're getting from those storefronts. So I'm curious to ask you, like, I guess you should have those information from Amazon. Is it working? Like people actually go buy from your storefront, or most of the sales come from the Amazon Live sessions?
So right now, every influencer in Amazon's influencer program should have a storefront. And the goal of having a storefront is to basically have a page that you direct your external traffic or your audience to. And on the storefront, there's 3 different things. There's live streams, there's idea lists, and there's shoppable videos. So basically now Amazon's making changes to the storefronts, but on the top of the storefront, there's like your most recent live stream, and it will basically replay there until you go live again, which is a new thing. So if your product was in my most recent live stream, for example, then it would, stay at the top of my Amazon storefront, and all my traffic that I'm driving would then have a chance to see it. Or if your product is in an idea list, that's another opportunity for people to see your product if it was in one of my idea lists and I'm driving traffic to it. Or we can talk about shoppable short videos, which is basically meant to show up on your product listing as well as my storefront.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So how to make that? Yeah.
Yeah. So influencers have the ability to upload a shoppable short video. And the goal here is just to help the buyer make a purchasing decision about the product. And this could be any kind of video. It could be like a review, unboxing, tutorial, demo, whatever. It could be anything. And basically, sometimes and not always, these videos then show up on the product listing under the description before the reviews, kind of in the middle. And then the influencer would get affiliate commissions from purchases made from that video after they watch it. But it would also make yours listing better because there's more content surrounding your product. Which is
okay. Yeah, that's fantastic. So is it something, like it is a function that influencers have in their dashboard, so they can actually, upload these shoppable videos? Yeah.
Yes. And they can upload about any product sold on Amazon. Could be anything.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So actually this could be like another ways to cooperate with influencer, right? So maybe let's say somebody is not interested into Amazon Live because I don't know, different reasons, or might be, for example, more expensive to work with with these people on Amazon Live, but maybe it may be a more affordable way to cooperate doing just a shoppable video, for example.
Yes.
Okay.
There is a good thing and a bad thing about it. So the good thing is that if the video is showing up on your listing, it stays there indefinitely. So there's no like time that it goes away or anything. But the bad thing is that there's no guarantee that it shows up on your listing. It'll show up on the storefront, and the influencer tags the exact ASIN and they can upload a thumbnail or whatever. But sometimes it doesn't show up on the listing, and Amazon has like a process of who knows what to determine which videos show up. And sometimes they rotate the videos. So sometimes some show up, some don't. So there's that part of it. But best case scenario, it shows up on your listing and it stays there. That's what you can hope for. That's the best situation.
Great. Yeah, that's a great news. I wasn't aware of. Okay, thank you for that. Cool. So we're running out of time. I have the last question for you. What is your best advice to achieve more with less when it comes to Amazon influencer marketing?
Yeah. So best advice would be to start small. Like start out with some micro influencers that are really, really interested in just, creating some content around your product. It's a great way to get UGC around your product. And it's a great way to learn and scale your influencer campaigns. So start out small, see what worked, see what didn't work, and then use the data that you have and the influencer has to then tweak your campaigns until you can, put more budget confidently towards a larger scale influencer and then get larger results. I think micro influencers are amazing to work with. There's so many new ones that are just dying to work with brands to create content for them. And it's a great opportunity for both sides. And you can learn a lot as a brand as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great advice. Thank you, Gracey. If people are interested to work with you, how can they reach out, and how can you help them?
Yeah, so my social media is DealCheats, DealCheats on all platforms. And my email is contact@dealcheats.com. So yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you, Gracey, again. I will put also those into the show notes. Guys, remember, the key to success is to emulate the best. So go check out, go check out, the downloadable things that the downloadable contract that we have made, Gracey made available for you in this episode. Start contacting influencers and, put in practice what Gracey just shared with us. There's lots of very valuable insights that she shared today with us. So to start taking action, influencer marketing, it could be like a really great new addition to your promotional channels. So be sure to start putting some effort on that, and as Gracey said, start small and learn from that. So you can you can then put more efforts on the right things. Thank you, Gracey. Again, it was great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey entrepreneurs, I hope you enjoyed the episode and learned something from the interview. If you're serious about creating systems for your business, automating processes and building up your team so that you can transfer the tedious daily tasks in order to focus on more high-level strategic tasks and work on your business and not in your business, I've created a guide for Amazon sellers named Capturing Systems and Creating SOPs that you can find at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook, where you will learn how to leverage systems and SOPs in your Amazon business so that you can accomplish more by working less, optimize your time, automate and delegate tasks, and reap the benefits of being a true business owner and not simply an operator in your own business. Go download the ebook at thesellerprocess.com/systems ebook and start implementing all the tips and insights that I share with you. And leave us a review or a comment to let us know how the content we are sharing here is making an impact in your business. And have a productive week.